Hi, good morning. My name is Monique Claymore. I'm the president and CEO of Greater Portland Inc. GPI is a regional economic development organization and is the only public-private partnership recruiting companies to the entire bi-state metro area. This is a key election year for our region, and there are three candidates vying for the Oregon governor seat. We invited them here to learn how they would tackle issues critical to the state's economic growth. Christine Drazan is here with me now. Christine served in the Oregon House of Representatives from 2019 to January of this year, representing parts of Clackamas County. She was House Minority Leader for 2 years, and she is a Republican nominee for governor. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Monique. It's good to be here.
So I'll just jump into the first question. The Greater Portland region is the state's economic driver, but it's losing its appeal as a good place to live and work due to increased crime, homelessness, and trash. What would you do as governor to restore Greater Portland's vibrancy?
This is at the heart of why leadership matters. And it really is a big part of why I'm running for governor. What we have seen that's changed for Portland and the Greater Portland area, at least on our side of the river, has been a decline that we felt, that we have been a part of, but that is entirely reversible. We have the opportunity in this election to advance policies that support economic growth, but also restore livability. Now, when we talk about Portland in particular, we recently talk about the spike in crime and the spike in homicides and our homeless situations that we're facing. I recently released a roadmap for Oregon's future that focuses on questions around livability, quality of life, kitchen table issues for Oregonians, but all issues which, in partnership with the leadership in Portland, are absolutely solvable. I will, declare a homelessness state of emergency, and what that allows for is the opportunity to marshal resources and to take the efforts that have been started within the city of Portland and support them at a state level, with resources, with supports, and certainly with backup, to ensure that we're addressing our homeless crisis with both compassion and accountability, that we recognize that all homeless issues are not identical and the same. This is not an anonymous group of people. These are individuals that have individual challenges that can be resolved and must be resolved. And so when we talk about how we're going to move forward as a state, we have to have Portland at the center of that conversation. A strong Oregon requires a strong metro. A strong Oregon requires a growing economic vibrancy in the city of Portland, which we will only restore if we have more police on the street that are responsive when criminal activities are occurring, if we have movement and progress towards addressing the homelessness crisis that we have seen, and certainly we have to repeal Measure 110. I talk about this too. It's connected. We need to provide mental health supports, behavioral health supports, and we have to review. I'm going to ask Oregonians to reconsider Measure 110 and bring to them the case, make the data case that says this has resulted in higher suicide overdoses. This has resulted in more addiction. It has not, in fact, led to more treatment and more people choosing recovery. And so, repeal of Measure 110, a homelessness state of emergency that coordinates in a very direct and clear way, not just under, the Joint Office of Homeless Services, that exists, but from a state level across the entire state. How are we going to address this crisis? And then recognizing the need to have public safety at the center of all of our conversations to ensure that it's a livable community again, a walkable community, a safe community for parks and downtown and everyone else.
This question comes from our interview sponsor, Moss Adams. What are your top three economic priorities, and how do you plan to address them?
Let's start with, I will veto any new tax increases. We are at a stage where the state is flush with funds. Now it's a matter of ensuring that our budgets express priorities, not perpetually growing our budget. Oregonians cannot afford additional tax burdens given the nature of how inflation is, in effect, a tax increase on families and businesses. So I will veto tax increases, just to be clear about that. At the same time, I think it's time to have a pause on additional regulatory movement towards business and across our state, unless it's specific to public health. We need a moratorium on new regulations. And in the first 100 days of my administration, I will review our rules on the books and revise, roll back, or repeal rules which in fact are adding cost to businesses and are harming our ability to grow businesses that are homegrown businesses here in Oregon. And the last thing is to retain and attract businesses. It's critical to be an aggressive recruiter in support of your work and certainly in support of growing the businesses that are already here. When I talk to other governors across the state, they are actively reaching out to businesses here in Oregon saying, come to us, we want you here. And in many cases, businesses are responding. They might not pick up and move their headquarters, but they're growing in other places rather than choosing to grow here. So we need incentives. We need a regulatory environment that is responsive to economic stability. We need to pause and make sure we don't have any new taxes right now, while we focus on what we need here at home, which is a strong economy, which supports strong public services and strong schools.
It's a great leader to the next question. As governor, how will you ensure alignment across state agencies, particularly Business Oregon, the Bureau of Labor and Industries, and the Departments of Revenue and Energy, in support of business retention and expansion in our core industries such as semiconductor, apparel and outdoor, software, and food and beverage?
I am going to replace agency heads. I'm just going to start there. I really believe that what we need is fresh leadership across the board when it comes to alignment across agencies. I will have the opportunity to pick people that are aligned with my vision, which is better quality of life for Oregonians, a strong economic environment, and safer streets, and certainly stronger schools. And so that's leadership. And so we have all of these different agencies that are going in different directions, and we experienced it during COVID, where one industry had its own rules, and then right across the street, they might have a similar structure or a similar business environment, but they had completely different rules for what was required of them. And when it was really an issue where there was not coordination, and it was very siloed. And so my commitment to business is that I will work to support your strength and your growth, recognizing how critical you are to Oregon today and tomorrow. And that means that my agencies will be aligned. My agencies will be communicating. And, when you take a look in particular at the Semiconductor Task Force, they flag these issues, regulatory uncertainty, a tax environment, a lack of land, lack of incentives. All of those things contributed in some way, shape, or form to losing Intel's business in particular. But also it was a lack of willingness from the leadership to say, I want you here. What can we do to keep you here and have you grow here? So I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to get to know people, and I'm going to better understand the industries that are out there and what they need to grow and thrive. And we're going to work together to get that done.
Now, business attraction. What is your short-term and long-term strategy to attract domestic and international companies to the state and to Greater Portland?
Yeah, we have so many extraordinary kind of foundational resources that should draw people here. We have a great quality of life. We're going to work on that in Portland in particular, but we have great quality of life across our state. We have access to low-cost energy. Hydropower is an asset. We have a strong workers' comp system, which allows for employers to have costs that they can afford, and for their employees to get the benefits they need. We have some functional values here that can attract businesses. Now we need the regulatory and the tax environment to reflect that. So incentives, improved regulatory environment, and certainly improved tax environment, on top of the other natural features that we've held on to in our state long term. And picking up the phone and being a recruiter for our state is a very real opportunity, traveling to get that done, and ensuring that we build around what we've got, and that we continue to expand the economic impacts of the industries that we have here. You have the opportunity for value add on top of that, and we need to continue to build and grow what we've got.
You mentioned the Semiconductor Task Force earlier. I co-chaired the Credits and Incentives Committee. What kind of political capital do you have to move a large economic incentives package?
Yeah, that absolutely is a critical issue, and I think that my economic capital rests in the fact that politics is math, and in Salem, 1631 and a governor's signature is how anything gets done. And there is this opportunity to say, this is a priority for me. Let's talk about my priorities and let's work together on our shared priorities. You want to get this done, I want to get this done. How can we work together? And really, the question of political capital you build over time through relationships and time. And it will take time to establish that level if you're talking political capital, but from day one, you actually have the importance and the value and the authority of the governor's office built in to say, I will veto bad legislation. I will, in fact, hold Portland accountable. They're not going to get, special carve out, special programs, special legislation unless they're responsive and provide for the needs of their community and clean up their streets and do the graffiti work, do the trash pickup, all that basic quality of life stuff, and then we can work together. That's leverage, but it's also partnership. And so the governor's office has the opportunity to build up political capital while at the same time recognizing there's opportunity for leverage and partnership. It really is somewhat nuanced, but we have to do everything we possibly can to ensure that Oregon's economy continues to grow. It's an imperative for us.
Last question. Oregon is missing out on well-paying jobs due to a lack of large parcels of land. Often we're not even in the running for large business recruitment projects as detailed in the statewide Semiconductor Task Force recent report. What's your plan to alleviate land scarcity and provide resources for site readiness?
We have not had a real conversation about land use for 50 years.
Yeah.
I mean, more than anything else, people that are interested in growth and development at any corner of the state, whether or not you're talking the border board over in Ontario, or whether or not you're talking, Washington County, Hillsborough area, people have had to come to the legislature and say, please, can I have special accommodation for my need? That is not how we should approach public policy in this category. If it's broken here, it's probably broken across the board. So, I will bring people together to work on this issue. I believe in ensuring that we have sustained access to both goods and services on the business side, the manufacturing side, and also a strong ag community. And so I'm committed to balancing interests, recognizing that our land use system itself has been part of the problem for driving costs and keeping businesses from growing here in our state. This is a commitment to a long conversation. This is a commitment to setting the table and giving people the space and the opportunity to problem solve together for long-term durable solutions.
Thank you. Christine, it's been a pleasure having you today. Thank you for spending some time with us today to answer some of these valuable economic development questions. Thank you.
Thank you.